I know it's hard to get contracts. When you're the little guy and you are um put into a space to where you have to battle against giants, it's frustrating.
Hi, guys. Welcome back to Pivot to Profit with Priscilla. Today, we're going to be talking about regulations in government contracting, and Copeland's back.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Don't sound so excited.
I'm excited.
Oh, we also, on top of our pediatric home healthcare agency, we run a government contracting business called Tropical Wash House. We launder and dry clean laundry for government facilities, the VA, military bases, things like that. So we are very much affected by changes in government. One of the things that we've relied on in our contracting business is certifications. Certifications are often called set-asides in government contracting. A set-aside is basically a contract that is set aside for people that have specific certifications. A woman-owned small business certification, a minority-owned business certification, a service-disabled veteran-owned small business certification. These are all the types of certifications that you can get and apply for as a government contractor, and you can specifically apply for contracts that are set aside for people that have those certifications. So Copeland and I have some contracts that have been set asides that we're currently working on. And because we are in a new administration, there have been a significant amount of changes in the contracting world and also in the commercial sector as well. So we're going to focus on some of the changes in contracting, but I also understand that some of these changes affect you guys that are in the commercial space as well. So I want to discuss 3 major changes that I know of, and I'm going to present them to Copeland, and he's going to share his feelings or what he's also seen in the space as well. So I'm sure everybody has heard about DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. DI is being rolled back, as they say, in the private sector, in the government sector, in every sector possible. And it is definitely affecting our business. So one of the major changes is that DI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, again, is considered, well, let me say what it was meant to be. It was meant to diversify spaces. It was meant to provide equity and equality in certain spaces.
Yes.
And it was meant to be inclusive and include people in those spaces, i.e., African Americans having the ability to get jobs and get contracts in certain spaces, women having that ability, handicapped people having that ability, all types of minorities in those spaces. So because people have perceived it as a handout, it's now under attack. And because those certifications that I just mentioned, also I want to include veterans having access in those spaces, because DEI does include veterans as well. So because of the rollback on DEI, there is now a focus on people like us that have government contracts with set-asides and certifications. So this administration is now taking a harder look at people that have contracts that were specifically set aside for women and minorities. I have also seen information that if you're applying for grants or if you're applying for contracts, you can't use certain wording like minority, wording like women, any wording that
African American,
may signify you as diverse, inclusive, or equity.
Yep.
So what do you think about this new rollback? How do you think this will affect us? Are you afraid? of, where we're headed.
What do I think? Well, I'm afraid. So look at it like this. We went to a veterans um
Conference?
conference, and out of that, I took away that a certain percentage of the women, minority, and veteran owned people, but I want to just focus on the minority part out of the government side on the contracts. And don't quote it to me because this has been a while, but I don't want to put out a figure, but I want to say it was like 5%.
Less than
It was like
5%. I
less
know
than
that.
5% or like 1%.
It was less than 5%.
Yeah, gets like a government contract. Like the percentage of like, and we're talking billions of dollars, billions in the B,
Biggie.
that are created for the government space, and only a certain like 1% or 2% goes to minority or black owned businesses. That's like a drop in the bucket. That's crazy. And for me, it's like I know it's hard to get contracts when you're the little guy and you are um put into a space to where you have to battle against giants. It's frustrating, and to be turned down, like you put in for these contracts and you don't meet the criteria because you don't have this and you don't have that. Being in the government space is a fight.
And to what you were just said, the battle against giants, that was the purpose of the set asides. The purpose of the set asides
Yes.
were to give, because there are also small business set asides where you have to make under a certain amount of money in order to apply for the contract. So the purpose of set asides was to give the minority owned, the woman owned, the veteran owned, the small business
Yes.
the
Yep.
opportunity to bid on the
Yep.
contract. Because
To make it equal.
what we see in the contract world is, so say we see a contract for laundry and we're doing our pricing and we're saying, okay, it's going to cost us this much because we're a small business. We sometimes have to pay a higher rate to employees, and some of our costs are higher.
Mm-hmm.
So if there is a large industrial launderer, they may be able to launder that same quantity for a lot less
Like 50 cents.
because they can either take a loss on this contract because they're going to make it up on another contract, or they can just batch it in such large bulks, or use larger machinery than we can afford.
And they have the equipment. The thing about it is that they have the larger companies have invested into.
They have the money.
Huh?
They have the money
They
to
have the
buy the
money. They
bigger.
they 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 invested it in the water, so they
They get better
cycle
water rates.
everything, and so when it comes to going up against that the giants, it's just like they're more cost effective.
Yeah.
That's just basically what it comes down to. And when you're a small business, you're not in there with a cost effective type of plan. Like you're small, you're trying to learn, you're trying to grow your business. So maybe you can come to a medium size or a larger company to do the same thing. But it just prices us out. It's
The government's always going to go for the lowest bid.
lowest bid, pretty much.
And we miss out a lot of times because we can't bid that low. We're not able to afford. We'd be out of business. We'd be working for nothing. I've heard of people bidding on contracts and losing money because once you bid on that contract and you win that contract,
You gotta
you're stuck
honor
at
it.
that price
Yep.
for multiple years. And if you forfeit on that contract, now you have a government report card that basically says you didn't fulfill your obligations. So set asides were meant to allow small people to compete with small people,
with big business.
small business. So um I think it's really going to affect us.
Yeah, as far as like, you know, minorities and just uh,
I
I
think the
don't even
contracts we have in place, hopefully, me hearing that they're going to go review people's contracts They're going to review people's current contracts and possibly restructure them or take them from them is concerning.
Yeah, it's very concerning.
Because we depend on that as a business, and
I
that's scary.
I worry about like them ending it. Like just we having a contract and then they just pull it from us because of this decision that the new administration is making.
Yeah.
So that's one of my worries. Um, and not only just the laundry business, even on the state side, it's gonna no well for our pediatric business
So our
because
pediatric
that's
business is we have technically a state contract because we get paid through Medicaid. So the conversation about cutting Medicaid is also scary because that's how we get paid
yep.
for our services. All of our clients are Medicaid recipients. We did not go into private insurance and private pay for home health care. We are a 100% Medicaid reimbursement business. So if they cut Medicaid, those cuts are going to come to programs like ours that
Yep.
provide pediatric home health care. So that was one change in the administration. The next change is the previous administration in 2021 set a federal minimum wage. Basically, as contractors, we have a minimum that we have to pay the people that we hire. The previous administration set that federal minimum wage at $17.75.
Yep.
The current administration has reduced that
and rolled it back
to $13.30. So, as an employer, let's strictly talk employer.
I
That
mean,
is not a detriment to us.
No.
Because no, let me not say that. That's twofold.
It's good for big business.
I was going to say. So when we first learned about this, it was like, okay, this is going to be tough because we now have to bid on that contract at the lowest rate, but we have to pay our employees $17.75
yes.
an hour. So where big business can cut back on the amount of employees and put the money in, okay, depending on the size of their machinery, they may only need 2 people to work that machine.
Mm-hmm.
But because we can't afford $100,000 equipment,
millions
we have
of dollars.
smaller or more.
Millions.
We have smaller equipment, which requires more employees. So when you increase that wage, that's going to increase our pricing. So now that that wage is rolled back, some people are already set at that pricing, and contractors are saying, well, can I reduce what I pay my employees, or what do I do?
And that's more to like labor law, because I think once an employee is set at that rate, they have to stay. Even though it's a mandate, like you can't just once you pay somebody, but the people that they bring on will start at the 14.
And that creates an imbalance.
It does. But I mean, it's the new administration it's just about the money, and they're just rolling back to the debt, the national debt. And
I think it's more about helping big business.
Helping big business,
because that's who it benefits. So how do you feel about maintaining that federal wage?
We're building the businesses. How do I feel about it? I want to pay people a good wage. I'm not the person that wants to cut people and take money. Like, I want somebody to come in. I want to be able to pay them $20 an hour instead of 17.
Yeah.
Like, I don't believe in putting, stepping on the back of somebody's neck. Like, it's hard in these streets. Like, I want to give people a fair wage.
Yeah.
So
sometimes we balance, just where to make the cost cuts. And because we've had a laundromat, we comprehend that the cost cuts can't come at the expense of our employees.
Right.
Because we've had issues with paying employees lower wages just to maintain the facility, and we just was not able to provide good customer service. We were not able to get good help, reliable help with those wages.
Right. And nobody, at $13 an hour, like nobody wants to they don't want
That's
to
not a
or
livable wage.
$14 an hour, but I'm not saying nobody wants to work at that, but
It's just not a livable wage.
it's not livable.
Yeah.
It's just like,
So, at the space where we're at, and we're growing and hopefully going to be expanding our warehouse soon, I think we're going to make every attempt we can to stay at that federal minimum wage and
yeah,
and 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 try to keep that up.
if I can,
Yeah.
I would try 15, but I mean, we see,
Yeah.
you know,
So I think we're in agreement that we're going to make every attempt to stick with the previous
previous
administration's
administration.
federal wage of $17.75 an hour.
So $18 an hour for me sounds good.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, $18 an hour if we can, it's just a matter of making the numbers work and seeing where we
Yeah,
can
that's
cut
pretty
costs in
much what
other
it
areas.
is.
So the final piece that I have seen that is being rolled back by this current administration is a discussion on segregation. Um there was a civil rights
Mm.
rule enacted that segregated facilities um, were not legal. And the current administration has signed an executive order that contractors can have segregated facilities. I don't know what that means. I do know what that means. I don't know what that looks like. I do know what that looks like. I just don't know because that does not make sense to
I
me. We've seen it. We've heard the stories of it. We have removed our mind from the possibility of it. And I don't know where my confusion is coming from because I don't comprehend a business. Go ahead, Grant.
no. I'm listening. I don't know what we're doing here. Like we're rolling back the hands of time.
Yeah,
It's just like this is crazy. Like I like the feelings I have inside. Like I just
yeah,
it just does not make sense. But for them, for
yeah,
this administration,
yeah,
I to, I guess it makes sense to them
yeah.
for their agenda, whatever their agenda is.
I don't really know the agenda surrounding segregating
I
facilities.
don't.
I
What
know what it feels like the agenda is, but
so what is this? Let's do this for a second.
go ahead.
We have the business, the warehouse,
Mm-hmm,
and this initiative is in place.
mm-hmm.
So we hire.
So I'll tell you where my head went.
All right, go ahead.
White only water fountains.
Oh,
Um, separated and segregated bathrooms.
mm. So
When
we
I hear segregation, that's where my mind goes to.
got it.
Um, I don't know or understand.
So do we get hauled away if we don't do it or something, or like
No, I
how does
think
that?
they're
But
making it an option.
oh, it's an option. So
It's now an option.
it's not
You can
happening.
opt in.
It's never happening.
Yeah.
And if they
You can opt in
no,
or
it's
you opt out.
no. It's never even going to be on the books. Like
Yeah.
that's not happening.
And I don't, and I feel like we can make the statement to say we aren't interested in
Never.
working with facilities that would opt in.
Yes. I no. I'm not working with nobody that segregates.
Yeah.
Even if it was a company that were making something a product. Even if I knew about
Just as a
done
consumer.
as a consumer
Yeah. Yeah.
done.
I agree. Um, so just to go over where we are, we mentioned a couple initiatives that we have seen and we are steady seeking more information on and how they're going to affect us. The DEI rollbacks. Um, making changes in government contracting set asides and what that looks like for our current government contracts and ones that we prepare to bid on contracts years ahead. So what that's going to look like in the future. Um, the change in the federal minimum wage and how that's going to impact us and what stance we're going to have. And right now, we are looking forward to sticking with the previous administration's federal wage at $17.75 an hour.
Mhm.
And segregated facilities, it's a no.
Oh, it's a H no.
Oh, well, we we are wondering how you guys feel about the things that
Yeah.
we've presented to you and maybe some things that you've heard as well. And just what do you think? How is this going to affect your business and your future in business? So, thank you guys for tuning in to this episode. Please follow us on my social media sites at Priscilla Grant on Instagram, Facebook, and like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys.